Okay, we are now moving from the Old Testament to the New Testament. In between the Old and New Testament, there's a 400-year gap. And in that 400 years, the Medes and the Persians rule, and then Alexander the Great conquers the world and spreads the Greek language and culture all over the ancient world. Wherever Alexander conquered, every city he conquered, he left Greek grammar teachers in those cities. And everyone in the entire known world had to learn Greek, to speak Greek. So this is God's way of preparing the world for the New Testament, which is written in Greek. It's also God's way for the gospel to spread in Greek to the whole Mediterranean world, to where all the people lived in the Roman Empire. Well, Matthew comes along, and Matthew means gift of God, but his real name, his Hebrew name, was Levi. And Levi means attached, and this indicates that Matthew was a priest. And so Matthew knows all the priestly images and how to interpret the scripture as a priest. And so he begins, and you can read the genealogy. Most people don't want to read the genealogy in Matthew 1, the family tree of Jesus. But you see what Matthew has done here. He has listed 3 sets of 14 names. In fact, in verse 17, he says, "Thus there were 14 generations in all from Abraham to David, 14 from David to the exile in Babylon, and 14 from the exile to the Messiah." 14 is the number of salvation, 2 times 7. And 3, there are 3 sets of 14. 3 is the number of God. So here's God's salvation, and it comes in Jesus Christ, who is the last name that comes from Mary and Joseph. So here's a man who is a priest, who understands all the symbolism of the priesthood, and he does a biography of Jesus. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, all 4 Gospels, are biographies of Jesus. They tell the life story of Jesus. Matthew does it to prove to the Jews that Jesus is God's Messiah. Matthew is writing to Greek-speaking Jews. Matthew quotes only the Greek Old Testament, which was translated about 250 years BC, from the Hebrew. So he uses Greek because he's speaking to the Greeks. And Matthew tells Jesus' whole life story from the perspective of a Jew to prove to the Jews that Jesus is the Jewish Messiah.